I never mention socials at all. And even when I do go on the dates, I don't give them my socials. And if they ask for it, I block them immediately.
You're watching Crosstalk Season 4.
Well, as you know, it's Season 4 of Crosstalk. And how do I introduce my guest for today? She has the voice of an angel.
Wow.
The moves of Shakira.
Wow.
Shantal Martin, better known as Hiraconda, they would say. How are you doing today, lovey-dovey?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Now, that is the official opening of this episode. Now for the unofficial opening, because she is nothing more than a crop over baby, so?
That's facts. The way I wanted to do a cover of this for so long.
This is the inspiration. If you do not know this song, then you do not deserve to call yourself a Bajan. You want to start on crop over, you want to start on opera, you want to start on dance, you want to start... Where do you want to start our conversation today?
I guess we could go anyways. Whichever way flows best.
Alrighty, so I want to take you to love.
Oh God. Whichever way flows best, trauma. Start with trauma. You're right.
You know, how was that search for your I'm trying to find the right words, because you often talk about the visual of the type of man, you know. So your childhood crush, actually that's it. You actually tweeted that.
Yeah.
That, you know, you're hoping that some man that looks like your childhood crush.
There's so
would
many
come
as
along.
well. Like I give you options. There's so
Yeah.
many, but no one has come.
I got a genuinely serious question here. You are in a social media space where there's a lot of eyes, a lot of attention on you. Do you think that that makes it any more difficult to truly find somebody who could properly pair with you?
You know what? I was having this discussion with one of my friends today because she posted it on her socials, and she was going on a date with a guy, and the guy found her socials and canceled the date because he's a private person. But she doesn't have on her dating apps like her job. And neither do I. I have opera singer because I think that's just easier. But I never mention socials at all. And even when I do go on the dates, I don't give them my socials. And if they ask for it, I block them immediately. So they can't see my stories, can't see my posts, can't see anything. I think it's like a weird in between to have to meet somebody, and the obvious question I think for a lot of people is like, oh, like what's your social media? But on my social media is everything you need to know. Well, majority of everything you need to know about me already there. So then there's no time that I'm going to spend with the person for them to like get to know actual parts of me. The what I portray they might hate, and it might they might just be like, oh, she's a little weird first off the bat. So I guess it's very challenging, I think. Especially, yeah, it's challenging to make like actual connections in the real world in general, but then you add social media on top of that, and it's just a whole other business.
I just want you guys to know I had zero intentions about talking about her love life and all these different things. But you mentioned with regards to the fact that what you put out there is everything to do with you. No, there was a tweet that I found with regards
It wasn't mine.
to that.
My Twitter is wild.
So in 2016,
So your wildest years.
so it was February the 15th, 2016.
Dang, right after
And,
Valentine's?
Actually, yeah, boy. Oh, damn.
Woo!
Wow, I didn't study that part, boy. So I wonder if this had to do with love. I don't know. But it was still very early in the social media age, you know, for you especially. You said, worst part of my life is having to be the person I carefully constructed for others to see when I just physically can't.
Ooh, she was deep.
Yeah, no, and honestly, right, it's such an interesting topic because obviously you know that there are personas, there are, you know, what we put out there, whether or not it's social media or what we just genuinely, you know, put out into the public space, and then sometimes you just dial it down maybe a couple notches when you're home or with your friends, etc. How much of a challenge is it, especially when you're out, to, I don't necessarily want to say keep up, but to be what the expectation people have of you because of your social media?
I think 2016 Shantal was going through it.
Uh-huh.
And like I was in a space where I was also tethered to someone else. So like
Mhm.
everything had to kind of be copacetic.
Uh-huh.
And in the years now, I really don't care. I'm just like releasing all kinds of interests, all kinds of like parts of my personality that I'm like okay with people seeing. But I know in that time for sure, because I'm not naturally social. I'm quite shy and I don't really do well with conversation when I'm like meeting people. But I know on socials I present very like larger than life. Like I'm your best friend because that's what I constructed my socials to look like. Like I constructed my socials to be, you see me and you think, yeah, that's my best friend. And so when people meet me in person, I feel like if I have to portray that as well, and I'm just like, hi, thank you, nice to meet you, and that's it. Like that's as much as I got. But I've just started being like, the real me is just really weird. So if I just give myself space to be weird wherever, it doesn't bother me. So it's been a journey though, of figuring out how to show up both online and both in person authentically without experiencing burnout at the same time.
When did your music journey start in terms of the formal education side of it overseas? Manhattan School of Music, correct?
Yeah.
When did that begin for you?
2013.
Okay, so that was before 2016. I want to take you to that because it took you out of a space in Barbados where opera music wasn't the thing, so to speak, and it put you where I believe that was your passion. What was that experience like transitioning from an environment here in Barbados to the Manhattan School of Music?
So obviously Barbados is small. So it's always small ponds going over to, you know, larger ponds. So I left Barbados being one of the only opera singers of my age because everybody else that was singing classically were older. And so I was always like below them. So I left this space being basically a baby into this other space where now I'm pitted with everybody from other small ponds basically, and we're now in this large pond and we're meant to figure out artistry but also in a space that is a conservatory, and that's, we're not really building artistry in conservatories, we're building perfect musicians, which is very difficult to do in a space that is objective and in a craft that is objective. I was excited though because I was finally going to be around people who like got my brain and like understood things how I understood things and kind of experienced the world how I experienced the world. And even still here, I don't find that as much. There's like a couple people because now there are more classical singers on the island that I can share that bond with, but at that time it was just me. And it was quite lonely at first, but then when I got over there, I was just like, okay, I have to figure out how to be social in real life, because again, not very social. So that took me a while to make friends, I think, especially because I present very, the jazz, to pause, the jazz boys, the basic movement of a conservatory is like the singers, the opera singers, they're like the cheerleaders. The jazz boys are like your jocks. None of that is actually gonna hold up in the real world. Everybody's weird. Everybody's autistic. There's no like anybody's cool, right? The jazz boys referred to me as hot black girl or like mean hot black girl because I was probably only 3 black girls in my entire year across all the instruments, etc. And so for a long time, nobody would like approach me. And with them not approaching me, they weren't sure if I was African American. They weren't sure what I was. And then as they realized I wasn't African American, more people started approaching me, which is also very weird. But it was just an interesting space because I feel in Barbados we grow up with really strong values, strong morals, strong stances. And when you get into a place that's like kind of willy-nilly, when you're presenting yourself almost like a pillar, people react to that in different ways. And that I found interesting. Yeah. My brain's just moving.
Yeah, like the jazz boys.
Oh yeah, the jazz boys, that's what you call them.
Yeah, but I can take you forward from there. So obviously, Manhattan School of Music, both bachelor's and master's for you. And from there, was it a case of you were telling yourself that when you finished that, that's the space that you were going to enter into existing, make your career out of?
Yeah, at the time I was very focused on opera. I think even before I got into school for bachelor's, I was very much in a musical theater space, but there was nobody around to tell me anything about musical theater. And there were people, like there were teachers and older people here that could tell me about classical music. So that's mostly why I went into that space, coupled with the fact that I really can't sing anything else. I sound ridiculous singing everything else. So I did that for my bachelor's, and I did really, really, really well through my bachelor's program. I starred in all of the productions. It was, you know, just me, being me, and the star is born, baby. Yeah, so then when I transitioned for my master's, I was ready for that to be like, okay, these are my first 2 years of basically being a semi-professional. I'm gonna be in it to win it. But school's very expensive, so I had to figure out how to first get to school. My tuition at the time was like $56K US a year. I should have been a doctor. So I ended up getting a scholarship from school for that. And with that, again, I was one of the only black people in my year. I was a favorite at that point. But then in master's now, other people are coming in from other conservatories. Now I'm vying for the spot of favorite black girl. I'm not a buyer. Who wants to take the spot can have it. I'm not fighting with you girlies. And at the time, I was also not mentally there because I was going through stuff. And I wasn't able to fully focus when it came to our first week of school, which is our first week of auditions. Just every single day we're auditioning for something, and then they basically cast you for everything for the rest of the year from that week. So you have to be on for that week, and then your life is decided. And they decide it quick, fast. They put you in productions that will get you seen. They put you with directors. They put you in ensembles. And basically where you place in that is how visible you're going to be for like agents, for other teachers, for people that are spotting new talent. So my first year, I literally got nothing, I don't think, because I showed up to my week of auditions, vocal cords swollen, tears in my eyes, couldn't sing a thing. So it didn't go well. And then I just started questioning my entire existence because I'm like, am I good or what? Like, what is that about? So that year was really hard for me. I got it back together by my second year and got a lead in an opera. But that first year was very, very difficult in figuring out, like, is this actually what I want? Because now I'm not in a position of favor. I'm like, is this worth it? Is this what the girls are going through? Rejection? Never felt it. Don't want to. And this career is all about rejection. So I had to sit with myself for a bit. And that was scary.
I'm happy you mentioned that because in my notes, I have that as well in terms of, all right, one, I searched the word fail on your Twitter, by the way.
Ooh.
And you have probably tweeted the word fail about 300 times on Twitter, especially when it related to music.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you fail this exam, you know, all that kind of stuff. Then it led me to do a little more digging, and it came to the point of how do you motivate yourself, one, in your times of failure, and 2, in the times when things aren't working out for you. And interestingly enough, you spoke about the fact that you struggle to motivate yourself. 1, there was an article that you wrote about it that I did not get a chance to read because it is gone from wherever you wrote it.
Sounds correct.
Yes, but 1, I want to know now, are you better at motivating yourself? Because that article was in 2019, I think it was, or 2020. 1, are you better now at motivating yourself? And 2, I kind of want to understand maybe why you felt in that moment, that you struggled to be able to motivate yourself, but you could do it for others, but not for yourself.
Yeah, I think what's key there is that you said I could do it for others. Like, I'm very much strong and steadfast when it comes to supporting everybody around me. But when it comes for me, I don't want to say terrible, I'm trying to reframe my language these days, trying to be more positive. I'm not adept at self-motivation. I think a lot of that is because I am afraid of failure in general. And I never want to do something unless I'm doing it right the first time. I'm bad at trying. I'm not bad. I'm not the best at trying. So that space of being in school and having people constantly tell you things that are wrong with you and that you need to improve, but you have no idea how to improve it, because at the end of the day, I'm not playing an instrument. My instrument is inside of my body. So I can't physically go in there and grab my vocal cords and be like, do this. I can't physically shove my hand through my diaphragm and be like, baby, expand this way. I have to figure out ways for it to work for myself. But it's very difficult to do that when teachers or directors or choreographers are trying to tell you what you need to be. So you don't really have that space of exploration without judgment. And I'm already judgmental for myself and for others. So it was very difficult to figure out a way to motivate myself. And I think the only thing that has changed now with the self-motivation is that I go to the gym now. And I have to force myself to get up at 6 a.m. and show up and do the work and figure out how to do it. I have a trainer, which makes it easy. Shout out to Avatar Alchemist. Chad is amazing. But he lets me play around in the gym, and if I say I don't want to do something, he's not going to force me. But he's just going to be like, well, it's for your betterment. And then I'm like, damn. It's for my betterment. So I made the decision to do it anyways, even though I don't want to do it. And I think by me recognizing that in the gym, I'm able to now pass it over to singing, or pass it over to dance, or pass it over to any other aspect in my life. Whereas I don't really feel like doing it. There's a million voices in my head being like, and if you do it this way, you're probably not going to get it done. But I'm like, but if I don't do it, then I won't know if I can get it done or not. And I realize I don't have that issue with makeup. I have it with things that I'm trained in. Things that I feel like I should already be good at.
Things that are a little more serious, so to speak.
I don't even think it's serious, but it's like I invested gosh darn $500,000 to sing some songs, and I'm gonna stand up and sing, and then somebody's gonna be like, I didn't like it. It's not very good. We don't want that. You're not casted. What do you mean? I just what do you mean? Whereas for makeup, say for Halloween, I'm gonna look at somebody who's doing prosthetics, and I've never done prosthetics in my life. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna get some Scotch tape and make it happen and do it, because I don't have any fear around failure in something that I've taught myself to do. I feel like I'm disappointing others because these are things that I've been taught to do that I'm still not excelling at as yet. But it's all a process, and I just have to keep doing it. Hate it.
So unfortunately, you hate it because we can talk a little more about it. Because the word in there you mentioned, that word is try. And now you say you struggle to try.
Yeah.
And how I'm going to link that is the fact that now you are back home and you are in a completely different space. And I remember we went to a job the other day that we were working at. Funny enough, that job is who gave us these chairs. Big ups to Koyman. The chairs keep
sponsored by Koyman. These chairs are very comfortable.
These chairs, hold on, let me get and show the chair.
My arms are actually resting across this circumference. Very comfortable.
Now,
also padded.
So big ups to chairs sponsor this season when I'm not one like chairs. You can win all these cheers this season, by the way.
Ooh.
Just by the way. So everybody, they got 6 cheers up for grab this season. But we back to the concept of trying. And like I said, I'm going to tell you the fact that you're back home now. When we had that conversation, you said that you kind of either got to make yourself a little more visible, you know, all these different things. How are you maneuvering having to force yourself now in an environment that does not necessarily cater to what you are going after?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I'm having to be okay with people thinking that I can give them something that I'm not even telling them I can give them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they would say, okay, you sing, so now can you sing this?
Mm-hmm.
Or, okay, you do makeup. Are you a makeup artist? Can I come to you to do this? And it's like the space that I've created for myself is not the space that y'all are trying to force me into, but it's also the only spaces that are available on this island for what I'm doing. And so now I have to have a come to Jesus moment, and I have to go, well, you're gonna have to do it for now until you can do what you want to do later. And I have never in my life had that attitude, ever. I've always been like, I'm not gonna do it. And that's because I had parents that would be like, we'll pay. Now they go, you're
Silent
an
night,
adult.
holy night.
You're an adult. And I go, hey, that's crazy and very true. And so now I'm having to navigate this space on an island, which is very important because it means everybody is interconnected. And things are not just work anymore. They're now interconnected socially and personally. And that's also a space I never had to navigate before, because everything to me was outside of me. You say this or I say this, it only pertains to what we're talking about, nothing else. There's no history behind. There's no relationship between me and you and my cousin and a brother, and there's none of that. So having to play into the spaces that fit me currently, but then also having to play the politics of the spaces has been a learning curve.
So would you say that this period of your life then, because like I said, you had up to what was almost a highlight. I think in my notes I have here, 2020-21 being best year of your life, campaigns, you know, you in every Sally store that got, you know, in the States and what's not, you on a high, you beaming, like your life is lifing. But now you're at a period where you're back to learning. Would you say that this then almost counts as your valley moment of growth almost?
It's definitely my valley, and I pray about this all the time. But the thing is, when I entered the valley, which was 2022, I was praying to get out of it, like immediately. I was like, you know, God, you're trying to show me something. Show me it from the deep. I want to look down at it. Thank you. And that year was just so hard, and I was not able to get out of anything. And then for I think the last half of 2023 into now 2024, I've been praying for the discernment to know when I'm saying yes or no to something that could help me. But I'm also praying, instead of getting out of the valley, I'm praying for the obstacles that are stopping me from getting out of the valley. And I think that has changed my perspective a lot, because I'm now looking at smaller areas instead of just this like overarching, I want to leave Barbados and I want to be on a stage. I'm looking at, okay, how are the aspects that I can leave Barbados? Like, what are the things that are stopping me from currently leaving Barbados? What are the things that landed me back in Barbados in the first place? What was positive? What was negative? What am I learning? What am I using? What am I throwing away? And I think that perspective that I have now versus 2022 is what is also propelling me to learn more again, because now I'm way more open to being like, okay, I definitely don't know everything. I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew where I was going to be by now, and I don't have that anymore. Not that I won't get it, but the pathway is different. So now the skill set is different, and I'm learning different things to make the pathway that I wanted in 2020, 2021 a lot more feasible. Ooh. And
Something brat. Who brat my bottle?
Tingling. Something more feasible, as well as something that could give longevity in the space, because now I know I can deal with ups and downs, and also just like diversify myself in the space. Now I have more at my fingertips, and I feel comfortable dabbling in more things.
No problem. So we come to the end of our episode, our little chat. Like, I know we can sit on here and chat for hours.
That's true.
But one thing I'm going to ask everybody on this season is a title for their story. So it could be a case of, you know, a title up to where you are right now in life, or what you believe could be the overarching title of your life by the time, you know, you're finished. But what would you want the title of your story to be?
I fear it's going to be Shenanigans, but with SHAN for Shantal. And that's it. 'Cause my life is a series of shenanigans.
Well, there you have it. Shenanigans.
Yep.
Shantal, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I certainly have learned a bit more about you, and I hope that the audience has learned as well. But good luck in your valley, my love.
I'm trying to get out by August end, actually.
That is a wrap on another Crosstalk episode. Stay tuned because we got more fun and more shenanigans coming your way.
Yay!